Hey guys, welcome back. I hope your week is off to a great start. In today's video, I am going to share another one of my very easy everyday eyeshadow tutorials. I've done a few of these in the last couple of months and you guys seem to really enjoy them, so let's tackle another one today. Today's look is what I would consider to be maybe a slightly smoky everyday eyeshadow look, and I achieved this particular look with the Natasha Denona Glam palette. But if you don't have this one, you can definitely just grab 3 shades that are very similar to the ones that I'm going to be using, and you can follow along with the eyeshadows that you currently have in your collection. If you are wondering about whether this Natasha Denona Glam palette is worth it, if you've thought about picking it up, I can tell you that for me personally, I have gotten so much use out of this. It's kind of a really neat eyeshadow palette in that it really does contain some wonderful neutrals, and I think there's a nice balance of mattes as well as shimmer shades in this one. I find that a lot of eyeshadow palettes either lean very warm or very cool, and this one here is just kind of the perfect in between. I've gotten so much use out of this one, so if you've always wondered about it, multiple thumbs up from me in terms of what I think about it. But again, if you don't have this particular one, just find 3 shades that are similar to what I'm using today and follow along with those. In the tutorial, right before we get into it, I will share what brushes I'm using. And if you are wondering what is on the rest of my face, I will list and link everything else that I have on in the description box down below. Feel free to check that out if you are interested. But yeah, let's go ahead and tackle just this kind of everyday, slightly smoky eye look. This is so easy to do. Just remember to blend, blend, blend. All right, you guys, let's get into it. Ooh, that's a lot of my face on the screen. Sorry about that. But I wanted to bring you guys in just a little bit closer so that you could see in detail where I am placing everything. Before we get into recreating the look from my left eye over here on my right eye, let me tell you the 4 brushes that I'm using for this. You don't need these exact 4 brushes. I'm pretty sure you probably have similar brushes in your collection already, so grab those. The first brush I'm going to mention is the Eyeshadows. This is the W23. I use this one to pack shadows onto my lid space. I am using the Zoeva 227 Luxe Soft Definer brush here. This is very similar to the MAC 217. This is what I'm going to use in my crease. This is a Smashbox pencil brush that I have had since the very early 2000s. I'm pretty sure I probably ordered this off of QVC back in the day. All of the writing has been rubbed off by this point. I just know that this is a Smashbox brush. I don't know. Find a pencil brush. And then this is actually a Kevin Aucoin contour brush. My face is rather substantial. I have a big head, so this did not do it for me in terms of contour, but I tell you what, this makes a great eye brush for blending my shadows out so that I get a really nice gradient versus like you know, a harsh transition between the different colors, and then also up to my brows. I tend to like a very diffused look to my eyeshadow looks. I'm not a big fan of harsh lines, if you will. Okay, first thing we are going to do is grab our Natasha Denona Glam palette here. And you can also find shades that are going to be similar to the 3 that I'm using for this palette. We are only using 3 eyeshadows for this particular look today. I'm sure that you have 3 shades in some of the other eyeshadow palettes that you own, but if you don't have the Natasha Denona Glam palette, I love this one. I think it's an absolutely beautiful, more neutral palette to have in your collection. I feel like there are a lot of offerings for warm tone palettes. I think we also have a decent selection of very cool tone palettes, but like in between the two, there's not a ton, but this one here is great. So if you're in the market, I have loved her and have used her quite a bit. So I'm gonna get started with my flat shader brush here. I'm gonna go in the shade Transition. That's what it's called in this palette. This is basically the lightest matte shade in this palette. I'm going to pack this onto my lid. I do already have my eye primer on, by the way. I am using the Hourglass Veil Eye Primer. As someone with very oily eyelids, I have to prime my lids. There's no way that this shadow would stay put for more than a few hours if it wasn't for eye primer. But I do set my eye primer with my powder foundation. So that's all set. We're good to go there. Let's go ahead and apply this to the lid. I just want to make sure that I'm staying in frame here. I'm just going to lightly run that across my lid space. You're not going to see a lot of this shade. That looks kind of weird. You're not going to see a lot of this shade once we start working with the crease. So don't worry if you go a little bit above. We're going to blend all this out. Okay, next we're going to take that crease brush. Obviously mine is the one from Zoeva. And I'm going to go into the shade Smoke, which is a kind of nice neutral brown shade. Again, we're doing mattes today. So grab something similar to this or get the Smoke shade from your Natasha Denona palette. And then I'm going to show you a little trick. If you've watched any of these other tutorials from me, you know about this trick already, but I like to tap my eyeshadow into my bristles. So I just take, usually I just do this on the tabletop in front of me, but this is just a candle lid. And I just kind of lightly tap the base of the brush onto a hard surface. That causes the powder that you just put onto this surface here to fall in between the bristles. And that way it kind of floofs, I'm not sure that's a word, but it comes up through the bristles as you're blending. So you're just depositing a little bit of color at a time versus starting out with like a huge just initial splat that you're then gonna have to like take forever to blend out. So do the little tappy tap. It's easy enough. And then I am going to start this right above my crease on this outer part of my eye. I tend to like a little bit of like a almost cat eye effect when it comes to my eyeshadow, where I bring it up a little bit above the crease on this outer part and then tend to stay more within the crease as I go towards the inner corner. So I like to do just that initial deposit of color there. I do bring that color all the way down to the lash line as well. And then I just kind of start working that into the skin. So as you can see, it's depositing a little bit more color, and that is just that color, again, floofing out of the bristles, if you will. I think I went a little bit too far above. Yeah, we'll fix that later. All right, I'm gonna grab just a little bit more. Again, tippity tap, and put that onto the lid space a little bit more towards the outer part here. Take your time with blending. I mean, obviously, if you're in a rush, you know, go a little bit faster. But if you have the time, take the time to really blend. I think it just makes the eyeshadow look so much better in the end. Now is where I'm going to take this contour brush, and I am really going to, I don't have anything on this, by the way. I'm really just going to blend that crease shade so that I have a nice gradient. Again, no need for harsh lines. All right, there we go. Just a little bit of blending. Okay. All right, I'm gonna take that brush that I initially started with, which is that flat shader brush, and I'm just gonna apply whatever is left, again, on the inner corner. I want to keep that a little bit lighter towards the inner part, and in fact, now that I I see that I didn't do that on the other side, so let's fix that real quick. All right, there we go. Okay, next I am going to take that pencil brush and I am going to go into the shade Lash Line. So this Lash Line shade is very, very dark, which makes it fantastic for a liner shade. So I just put a little bit onto that, and I'm gonna do just a little tap with that as well. And now I'm going to apply this just to my lash line. Again, the outer corner gets a little bit of a thicker application, and then I thin it out as I go towards the inner part here. If you want to darken it, just obviously dip in again and you can deepen that shade up a little bit. I like a pretty dark liner look. I mean, nothing super harsh, but like a really dark brown or kind of like a gray black is sort of my preferred liner shade for me. I want it just a little bit darker, so just one more layer there. Okay, then I'm gonna go in with my crease brush again, and I am gonna blend out the edge of that liner a little bit. So once again, we are trying for a nice gradient transition, no harsh lines, and just very lightly. It helps to kind of hold the brush by the end so that you're not applying a ton of pressure. Just really lightly go over that and blend up into the crease a little bit. Okay, make sure we're even here. Looks pretty even. There's like a weird, there's like a weird shadow that's making it look like it's a lot darker out here. It's really not. Like when I look in the mirror, it doesn't look like it does on camera. Anyway, we're going with it. I'm gonna take whatever is left on this pencil brush. I'm gonna run that along my lower lash line about halfway in. Oh, I guess I should stay in frame here. I really want to look down while I'm doing this. Okay, I'm going to take a Q-tip and just kind of run that along the lower lash line there to, again, diffuse that a little bit, make it look a little less harsh. All right, and that's it. I'm gonna go ahead and apply 2 coats of my mascara, which is, where are you? Here you are. I'm using the CoverGirl Clump Crusher Extensions by Lash Blast. I'm gonna put on 2 coats of this off camera, and I'm gonna come back and show you guys the finished look, so stay tuned. Voila, 2 coats of mascara and we are all done. So this is the finished look here. I did have to touch up the liner along my lower lash line on this left side, and it still doesn't look the same to me as this side, but at this point I'm just gonna have to go with it. This eyeball just continues to water and I just keep wiping away the tears. So trust me, I know I need to get this sorted. It's on my list of doctor's appointments to make, along with a whole host of other appointments, so I'll get it sorted at some point. But anyway, I really like this slightly more, I guess, natural approach to an everyday smoky eye look. Not that this look is found in nature or anything, but if this is just a little bit too dark for you with a smoke shade, an easy trade out would be to eliminate smoke and maybe use this crease shade. This is also a matte shade. It is definitely significantly lighter. It's also a slightly different tone, obviously, than smoke, but it'll give you a very similar look. The thing that I think most people tend to struggle with when it comes to eyeshadow application is that they just don't take enough time to really blend the eyeshadows together. I think creating that like really smooth gradient or transition between the shades that you are using is what really ends up giving you a very pretty polished look in the end. And if you don't have the time to blend your eyeshadows, you know, maybe you're getting ready for work or something, just do a simpler eyeshadow look on those days and save looks like this for the days where you really do have time to blend everything, because it makes such a difference. But I think just, you know, a little bit of shimmer on the lid or even a nice matte shade on the lid gives you a really pretty polished everyday look. And then, you know, like I said, when you have the time to do a little bit more blending, maybe that's when you do looks like this. But it's the blending really that is the key. I just think it makes such a difference. So anyway, you guys, I hope that you enjoyed this easy 3 shadow tutorial. Let me know if you have any questions. Again, I'll go ahead and link everything else on my face in the description box down below. So if you're curious about my lips, my blush, or foundation, or anything else, check that description box. I appreciate you guys being here. Please subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Toodaloo.